Welcome back. New developments this morning in the desperate search for Nancy Guthrie coming to light as officials describe the man seen in the doorbell ring camera as a suspect. Fox News correspondent Matt Finn is outside the home in Tucson, Arizona right now. Matt, good morning, and what's the latest?
Good morning, Maria. So we now have an estimated description of that horrifying masked figure seen in the Ness video, and pointing out, that he was standing right in this archway behind me and attempting to get into that front door, apparently, of Nancy Guthrie's house. So the FBI estimates that that person is a male between 5'9" and 5'10", a man with an average build. That is their estimation. The reward has been increased to $100,000. Any information leading to an arrest of that suspect. The FBI also now officially calling him a suspect. He's believed to be carrying a backpack called an Ozark Trail Hiker backpack. You see those two reflective lines on the straps there? That is apparently what you're seeing reflecting in the surveillance video. Also, the Pima County Sheriff is asking anyone with a camera in the area east of Skyline Drive and North Campbell Ave, about a 2-mile radius, to check their video from January 1st to February 1st, submit anything suspicious or anyone walking around or a car to the Pima County Sheriff's online link. And the Pima County Sheriff, he's defending his decision to send evidence to a lab in Florida instead of turning it over to the feds. Sheriff Nanos disputes there's friction on the ground here, telling 13 News in Tucson that he wants all the evidence to be submitted to the same lab in Florida. And yesterday, Savannah Guthrie posted a new video that appears to show her mother, Nancy, and her sister, Annie, many years ago, much happier times than this horrifying ordeal that they're going through right now. Her caption said, "Our lovely mom, we will never give up on her." Maria.
What a shame and a mystery. Unbelievable. Matt, thank you. Matt Finn in Tucson.
Sure.
Joining me now, the National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases CEO and founder, and the Crime Reconstructed podcast host, Morgan Wright. Morgan, thanks for being here. What do you make of the new information we got? There was a glove found in the house. Obviously, the sheriff wants it at that Florida lab to be probed, and there are attacks on him for holding back evidence to the FBI.
Well, Maria, what's interesting about the glove, and I had a long discussion with several of the people. I'm on the ground out here in Tucson right now. There's a lot of things we'd like to know about the glove. There's more things beyond DNA testing. In fact, there were several cases the FBI's Quantico lab testified in where they were able to match up plastic, like plastic sheeting, plastic garbage bags, to the exact same lot. They were able to match what they found to the source of it, tie these crimes together. So that's the same thing we're looking at with the glove. Can we tie that glove together by physical examination? One of the challenges you do is when you split evidence up, you delay the amount of time it takes to corroborate your findings, to be able to link them together. And the other thing, too, is the FBI's got the biggest database of all things. The lab in Florida can test for DNA, but they can't do tool mark impressions. They can't do this type of molecular examination of the gloves to tie those things together. So it's a little bit of a challenge. But, and I'll tell you one other thing, too, just quick tidbit here about the video. I happened to talk to a couple businesses in the area that were visited by law enforcement. Maria, one of the challenges, both those businesses, they had no video surveillance inside or outside, and one of them deals with a lot of pedestrian traffic, a lot of customers. So that's going to be one of their other challenges when they ask for video. There'll be a lot of consumer video, but from a business standpoint, things along major thoroughfares, I think that's one of the challenges right now.
Are you surprised, here we are going into day 13, that it doesn't feel like we are much farther along? I mean, once they released this video of the suspect from the porch, from the doorbell, the Nest Bell camera, I thought, well, maybe they're closing in and cracking this case. How would you assess where we are here?
Well, obviously the video is huge. As a former detective, now we've got something tangible to work with. Before it was just, very ethereal. We know somebody had to be there, but now we've got form, we've got shape, we've got movement. I will tell you right now, I was talking to some of my friends. Some of them have been on doing several of the segments with Fox and Fox Business. One of them used to be a local Tucson police officer. They've got local domain knowledge. we were talking, he believes, and I trust his judgment explicitly, that this person is local to Tucson. This person is probably going to be contained in a certain area of Tucson. So I think that's the hard part. Now, you can do all the physical examination and the DNA testing you want, but now it's boots on the ground. It's domain knowledge. It's getting out into the neighborhoods, working sources, talking to people. You still, I go back to it's three factors. It's time, constraining the timeline so that you can put people in the frame around, technology, and behavior. This person will have acted differently after the crime than they did before the crime. So if we could match those things together, I believe it'll get solved. It's, as with all cases, it's long, it's hard, it's darkest before the light. But I think with all the resources they have, they will get to somebody. I can't tell you when, but I think this case will be solved.
Well, I mean, this has gripped the nation, I guess, partly because of the celebrity. You know, it's Savannah Guthrie's mother, the Today Show host. But Morgan, why haven't they ruled out the family? Isn't that one of the first things to do, rule out the people close to her?
Yes, and that's what you do in any investigation. You start at the center, the close family, close friends, actually close family, intimate relationships. You go out to friends and acquaintances, and then broader beyond that.
And don't forget, they continue to go back to Annie's house, right? Her daughter, yes. Savannah's sister, Annie, and her husband, Tommaso. They've investigated and probed and taken things out of that house a couple of times.
Yeah, and I think one of those times, too, I may have discussed this with you, Maria, there, from a behavioral standpoint, there at some point prior to the crime, there are some crimes where the offender and the victim cross paths. Now, we don't know that's the case. It's just a hypothesis right now. I don't think that with the release of the video, with looking at some of the other evidence that the family is seriously considered. I think just the sheriff, he's just keeping a blanket statement open so that you don't rule anybody out. At this point, as an investigator, if I were looking at things, my focus would not be on Annie and Tommaso. Enough has been collected. They've been cooperative. They've given access to everything. Their devices have been captured. So if I were, helping in the investigation, I would say, okay, we've got everything we need here. Now let's focus and move our concentric rings out and start focusing on more things out there.
Yeah, but it's interesting that, the last people she saw were Annie and Tommaso, right? And they're not telling us who dropped her off after dinner. So she has dinner with her daughter, Annie, and at Annie's house with Tommaso. And then somebody drove her back to her home, which is 10 minutes away. But every time that question came up, who specifically dropped her off, the sheriff, the Pima County sheriff says, we're going with family.
Yeah, it's hard to read into what he means by that. They probably, I would think at this point they do know, because Annie or Tommaso would have admitted to it. They'd say, here's what we did, here's who we dropped off. There was some confusion, I know, too, about did she attend a service, did she go virtually? So always with big investigations, it's like war. There's this fog of war, right? We have, and Maria, you actually bring up a very good thing. We're reaching a point of my latest post on my Substack blog, Crime Reconstructed. I wrote about informational entropy. We're getting to the point of where we don't really need more information. It's overload. The more information you get, the system starts to collapse and it slows down. What we've got to do is start getting rid of things. So if I were going to make a suggestion, I would say, let's get rid of some of these things, hold a press conference, clear everything up, reset the frame so that we know exactly what we're dealing with, and then move forward.
Mm-hmm. All right. We'll keep a spotlight on it. Morgan, thank you. We appreciate your insight here. Morgan Wright, stay with us. We got a big hour coming up. We'll be right back with headlines. Stay with us.